Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Joining me today is Sumit Peer as we take a look at the new valuation of various economies. It's not going to be anymore on the way it was before. As de-dollarization takes root, people are going to find out what exactly it is that each country has in the form of commodities, wealth, minerals, what have you. So all this and more warrants a deep look at various things that each country has. Today, we are going to take a look at a couple of sectors. To know all that and more, let's welcome our guest of the evening, Sumit Peer. Sumit ji, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Shri sir, namaskar, pranam, vanakkam, sadhuva. Thank you very much for the invite. Always a pleasure to join. Ji sir.
Viewers, a small request, please like this video. We would like to see, like right now, there are 131 people watching. We would like to see 131 likes, if not more. And it would be very nice if you can do that. This is something that Sumichi has done a lot of research on. So what data we are going to share with you is something that is probably mind-blowing because you probably may have never heard about it or read it elsewhere. Sumichi, over to you.
Thank you, sir. In the name of Bhagavan Sri Ganesha, let's do the Sri Ganesha. Now, when we look at the changing geopolitics, when we look at the things around us, we know geopolitics is changing. We know the world order is changing. We know the things are changing. Now, in a changing geopolitical scenarios, the paradigms of the world have changed. So the way things used to done before COVID are not done after the COVID. The powers which are prevalent before COVID are not there after COVID. So in this changing world order, where does India and India's economy fit in? What is the India's economic promise? What does India bring to the table, and why does the world need India, and how much does India need the world? These are questions which we all should be concerned about, because at the end of the day, I am talking of 1.4 billion lives here, and we are talking of 18% of the world's population. Most populous nation in the world by today, by some accounts, we are already. So what are we doing? So in this series, which we intend to start, we are going to talk about various sectors of economy. Possibly pick 1, 2, or 3 sectors depending upon the contents and depending upon the quantum of data. Then try to explain how India is changing, how India has changed, and what is going to be the future roadmap. And how is it going to impact your lives within India and your lives if you are living out of India, how the things are changing for you. That is the sole purpose, because usually these topics are not covered by a lot of people, and a lot of people don't want to touch them. It's not hot TRP. But they are very, very sacrosanct and important to your and my life and the life of our future generations to come. So if I talk of a developed country, if I talk of a superpower in making, there are 5, 6 things which you must have. First thing you must have is food. Second is weapons. Third is your, gold. You must have water. You must have energy taken care of. And you must have a resilient supply chains, because you have to keep your economy and all moving. So when you look at all this, Indian army is quite robust. We are doing whatever we have to do. We are strengthening the army, that you know. And if I talk of, if we talk of weapons, we have work in progress. We're doing a lot of things are done. If I talk of gold, we have already around 7th highest gold reserves in the world as per the central bank. But if I put gold in the temples and the gold our ladies are holding put together, we have ample gold reserves. There's not a problem there. Energy, work in progress. You must have heard today the first hydrogen cell powered bus was running in Ladakh. So we have launched the first bus which is powered by hydrogen cell. Hydrogen cell bus is the reality. It is running up and running today in India, and we are the pioneers in that. So a lot is being done on the energy. I'll be touching on that as well. So food, what are we doing on the food? Water, we have ample. That is why China needs Ladakh. That is why China needs India, because India has some of the biggest sources of fresh water in the whole world. So what are we going to today? We are going to today talk about food and energy. These are the 2 things I want to talk about today. So when I talk about food, the first thing which comes to my mind is agriculture. What is the agriculture industry of India? How is agriculture doing? How we are, doing well, or we are going down the hill, sorry. And, with this all Kisan Andolans and additions happening, is there something to worry? Or is this just one more, trick of the play? So first sector we're going to talk about is agriculture. Second, we'll combine agriculture will basically address food, right? Second, we'll combine rare earths, which is the new gold. and we'll talk about energy. What are we doing on the energy and rare earths? What are initiatives which have been done? So let's start first with the food. And when we talk of food, the natural thing that comes to your mind is agriculture. Now, the first common notion, which is prevalent, which a lot of people want to peddleize on TV and here and there, what say, is country mein 10 kisan hai. That means in this country, every out of 10 people, a typical 7 people are kisans. That is not true today. Today, the people who are dependent on agriculture is 42.3%. So there used to be 170, 75%. Now it is 42.3, 43.4%. So I can say almost it is being reduced to half. What is the land in cultivation in India? Kitni zameen hai? How much of the land are we cultivating? We are cultivating approximately 51% of the total land available with us for cultivation. That's point number 2. What is the increase of land in cultivation after 2014? The land which has been increased in cultivation after 2014 is more than 25 lakh hectares has been added to as cultivation land. So that is the first important factor what we are doing to cultivate the land under, get the land under cultivation. Now, another question is, which strikes your mind, how much of land is under irrigation? How much of money are we spending on this land to do the irrigation? Right? Because we are talking food security. Okay. Let me tell you that. The land under irrigation before Modi ji came to power was around, around somewhere around 38, 39 to 37, 38, 39%, less than 40%. Today it has come to 67%. 67%. And we have added 25 lakh, hectares of land to cultivation. We are now crossing 51 the benchmark. Now, what is the money spent on these agriculture, these agriculture projects? 70 to 100 billion dollars. Yes, 70 to 100 billion dollars is spent on the agriculture projects. What are we doing at the ground level? What are we doing for the kisan? 25, more than 25 new schemes and new initiatives by the government, like Kishan Samman Nidhi, where you pay 6,000 rupees to every kisan. Soil testing, incubation centers, hybrid seeds, techniques, program for pesticides, program for, cultivation, program for your, education, program for use of tools. So there are a lot of, around more than 25 such programs which have been launched successfully and running in India. What have we achieved? Achievement kya here? The first achievement is nano urea. You don't have to carry now urea on your shoulder, those 20 and 50 kilo bags. At this much bottle, half of this bottle which I have just here, will have the capacity of nano urea. So you carry your nano urea in your pocket. There was days when urea was stolen and was used to make milk and all the crap and all this fudgy bada. It used to go to the chemical companies. Now gone are those days. First was neem coated urea. Now we are the country which has pioneered this nano urea. Now, just around a week, 10 days back, I read somewhere even the nano DAP is also available. So my Kisan brothers and sisters, nano urea, nano DAP unit, that is already available. Soil health cards are everywhere. Crop insurance is done. Samanidhi is done. Agriculture is taken care of. Hybrid seeds are taken care of. With all these things going, there's one more thing which has happened. If you look at this sector, Sri, a lot of FDI has also started coming into this section. And you will be surprised to know when I tell you something. There are around 2,442, as per my last seen data, startups in agriculture. 2,442 startups in agriculture, which are powered and run by our rural youth. They are in B class, C class Ts. They are in smaller villages, talukas, and districts across the length and breadth of India, right? So, and now you will say, okay, 2,442, it looks a good number, but what does it signify? Agri-tech is the third biggest, agri-tech, agro-based startups is the third biggest startup ecosystem of the country. So it is not just 3,000 startups, they are the third biggest in the country. And there are a lot of people, there are a lot of traditional banking entities, there are traditional VCs, there are a lot of funds which are looking to this sector and they want to invest in this sector. Second question. After that, how much is the yield per hectare increased? So if you look at last 9 years, around I can see you safely around 2 to 5% is the yield per hectare which has increased. What is the percentage of population which is not dependent on agriculture now? You know earlier how many were. So we have now how many are dependent now? I think that number has also come down from around 2 to 5%. So you have 2 to 5% yield up, and you have 2 to 5% of the population which is not dependent on agriculture now. So it's a both way thing. What more are we doing? What is our ranking? Where does Indian agriculture stand? What are our contributions to the world? Are we able to feed our people? Kya scene hai? These are the questions. Because a lot of things have been cooking around, and a lot of people you must have seen on TV cribbing. Kisan ki income badai Modi ji ne. You've been talking about 2022 will increase the Kisan ki income. Has it done? Is it a reality? It's all jumla and all. You must have seen all this in a lot of crappy TV debates which happen. And sometimes I'm a part of it, but that's okay. So you know how TV works. But what is happening? First of all, the cost of cultivation, the cost of agriculture is reduced by 50% through these schemes, through these health cards, through these subsidies, through these weed programs, through these education, through a lot of things. The cost is brought down by 50%. You have now hybrid seeds. Your urea, your DAP, your cost of fertilizers is subsidized. That is done. Now, MSPs, or the prices, MSPs effect of have been increased from 150.
I think you mean minimum support price.
Yes, minimum support price. Whichever crops are minimum support price, they have been increased from 150 to 200% over the period of last 9 years. And overall, the prices have gone up by 100, 150% in a lot of things. So your price is almost doubling and your cost also reducing. Then you have these schemes, you have agriculture, you have hybrid seeds, you have these best of nano urea, DAP, you have best pesticides. These are the things which are all working on. Not only that, there are a lot of regions in our India where kisans or the farmers used to only have one crop. Now, what the government has done, government has taken a lot of initiatives, at least where they are having two crops. So this second crop is a straightway bonus or bumper to the addition of the kisan ka income. Now, if you look at drip irrigation, if you look at hybrid seeds, if you look at all the international techniques which we have got into our from across the world, even some from Middle East, some from Israel, some from Mexico, some from Colombia, some from Argentina, Chile, wherever we find the best practices, we are going and inculcating them in our farming. Not only that, when you are importing the equipment for farming or machinery for farming, there's a duty exemption and there is no GST on that. That is one more thing which the government is doing. Now, government has also identified, some crops. Let's say in Mexico, there's a particular kind of orange or a vegetable they grow. We don't have it in India. Let's say in Brazil, there's one more crop there. Let's say in Indonesia, there's some more crop. Now, what the government has done, you have identified the belts in India where these crops can be grown. So these farmers, our farmer brothers and sisters, are given subsidies, are given incentives to grow these crops as a secondary or a tertiary crop. So when you grow the secondary or a tertiary crop, so your crop is directly exported. It doesn't sell in the Indian market. So the yield per hectare also increases. The money, I'm not talking of the physical yield. I'm talking of the quantum of money you can make on a hectare. That substantially increases. Now, if you look at the whole of Northeast, for example, the whole of Northeast is made as a hub for organic farming. And Sikkim, I believe, is number one there. And all the things are being exported. Once being, land and towns of these drug wars and, those militant groups and insurgencies, now they are the organic farming house. I mean, that's why Prime Minister Modi said, I visited 60 times, and my ministers has visited more than 400 times. So a lot of work has been done there. Now, cooperatives have been opened up. A different ministry for cooperatives is there, where how to build these cooperatives. Each district may each specialty. In one district, you have to develop one specialty, vocal for local initiative. Right? So these are all done. We are not hardly exporting any raw materials. We are exporting semi-finished to quarter finished or finished goods, where our margins and where our profitability is high. So vocal for local is an initiative which you must have all talked about. Now, getting credit lines to farmers at an easier thing is done. Crop insurances have been made robust. Kisan credit card is a reality. Irrigation systems have been completely beefed up, and the old irrigation, legacy irrigation systems, they have been all revamped. Most of them have been revamped. And we are already looking at contemplating this project of joining the rivers. So that will help to control the floods. And that will also help to make us new, these canals. Now, even if you look at the top of canals, we put a lot of solar panels, wherein these canal roofs, they help the water not to get so much of evaporated, and we were able to make electricity out of that. And let me remind you, we are the highest producers of solar electricity in the world today. Now you will say, Sumit ji, this all is good data and all, but where do we stand? मतलब number क्या है? Number I'll share with you. In wheat, number one. Rice, number one. Corn, number one. Millets, number one. So there are a lot of crops in the world, a lot of things which humans commonly eat. We are number one, number two, number three. For example, fisheries, we are number three. Milk, we are number one producers of milk in the world. We are not number one exporters. Shrisa, you were saying something.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one small observation to all our viewers that, when the British came, it was considered fashionable to eat rice and wheat and not the traditional food that we used to consume for hundreds, if not thousands of years, which is millets. There are things called navadhanyas, 9 different types of grains, jowar, maize,
Bajra,
and bajra.
jawar,
So
bajra,
all of
ragi.
these, yeah, ragi, a lot of these things will make sure that you have the energy without adding on to your weight, meaning like they don't have a lot of carbohydrates. But if you want to make a meal out of millet, you have to soak them overnight. You have to remember that. Soak it overnight and then use the thing next day, cook it, and it is very nutritious. For some reason, we were told that it is more fashionable to eat rice and wheat. No, our ancestors used to eat millets. Please consider switching to at least 2 or 3 times a week millet-based diet. Millet roti, millet dosa, millet this, millet that. They all
Whatever.
taste fine, but you'll not gain weight. That is the important thing. See here, I'm not asking you to exercise. Just change that one ingredient. Just change that one ingredient. See how quickly things start falling in place. Please continue, sir.
Now, when we are talking of fisheries, now suddenly we were not even in top 10. Now we have come to number 3. Now, if you talk of even, poultry, we're number 5 today in the world. If you talk of, horticulture, we have really made our mark. If you talk of the livestock, when you talk of, bulls, when we talk of cows, when we talk of buffaloes, when we talk of goats and all, I think in the livestock, we have the highest livestock in the world. And if my memory serves me right, it is 550 million plus. यानी कि 55 crore, 55 crore plus livestock, what we call in Hindi Pashudan. What Prime Minister calls is the Pashudan. That is the quantum and spread of Pashudan we have in India, right? So these are the things, some things which have been done, and it's a silent revolution in how, working. What I mean, I can go on and on, but I have only 20 minutes, so I have to go to the next topic, and then one and a half topic left. So I wanted to give you some quick numbers, a quick snapshot of what has been happening. Is this 2.5 times? Is this double income happened? And as per the revenue reports of 22, the income is already 2.5 times in most of the cases. Most of the cases. That is why your purchase power parity index is increasing. That is why the purchasing of the capital goods and white goods is not coming from A cities. Now it's coming from B and C cities. Remember what Ashwini Vaishnavji said in the World Economic Forum. That where is the thrust of the demand coming from? Look at your village, look at your town. How many bikes are there? How many fridges? How many ACs? How many new LED TVs are being bought there? Because in cities, the demand has already stagnated. How is the industry running? This has gone to the B and C cities and villages, which is a very, very good news, and I'm very happy for that. That is how this all is being revolutionized. I have more data to talk about, but I'm going to move towards something very, very important. So wheat, rice, these are all in millets. We are the milk producer in the world. And let me remind you the power of cooperative. There's a cooperative called Amul. Last year, sales 72,000 crores, approximately $10 billion here and there, depending on the exchange of the dollar. It is the number one FMCG brand in the India. It has taken over Unilever's and all of them already. And not only that, what I told you last time in all the hangouts, India has got more than 600,000 acres of land we have acquired in Africa and elsewhere in the world. We are having Africans to cultivate more. I have given you examples how in Senegal and all the yields have gone by 10%. People like Kirloskar and Mahindras and all, they have got into corporate farming. What does that mean? That means our geographical redundance vis-a-vis food is completely taken off. Today, India is not dependent on food grains for anything. That doesn't mean we are not importing food items, but we are not dependent. I'll tell you, it was around 2010, 8, 10. I used to come from Singapore to India very often. Usually, I would mostly take a Air India flight, because that is the route Air India was available. Otherwise, I'll fly SQ. But Delhi, Bombay, India, I am flying Air India because I wanted to give money to Air India, nobody else. I'm making honest confession here. So I didn't want to give to any other airlines. So I used to come Air India. It was not the best of the plane to come in, but still I was okay with it. With me, a lot of these traders were coming. Traders. These traders were going to Indonesia, and I used to talk with them, chit chat. Kya kar rahe ho? What are you doing in Indonesia? They were buying this what you call dal or the pulses. We were sourcing most of the dals and pulses from Indonesia, and eventually, in due course of time, now Canada had become a very very big supplier of dals and pulses, what we call in the common language. Now, in due course of time, after our initiatives of this corporate farming and acquiring hundreds and thousands of acres of land, I told you farmers from Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, a lot of them have been sent and they are revolutionizing the farming there. And remember what is Africa? 60% of the cultivable land and only 10% of the yield. So you can see the opportunity there. We have overtaken China in this because we have the trust, China doesn't have the trust. So what is happening there is now we are cultivating these lands. So we have developed a geographical dependence. Now we are not importing pulses or dals from Indonesia. We have completely stopped or reduced our dependence to almost zero on Canadian import of dals and pulses. Rather, we have taken a lot of market which Canadians used to control. So now our traders are controlling this market. Our traders are kind of ruling the roast, and that is how India is becoming independent in agriculture. I am also looking at the clock because she said, won't be happy with me if I exceed the time. Now, this thing is, what is the roadmap? What do we want to do in the agriculture? What we want to do in the agriculture is, in due course of time, what I have done analysis and what I've talked to a few people, the understanding I have, more and more technology will be brought into India, and this technology will be make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. We will lease these. We'll have startups leasing these. We'll have startups doing hire purchase. We'll banks doing hire purchase. So these will be given to all the kisans. So the amount or the quantity of manpower, quantum of manpower, the number of people required in the farming is considerably reduced. We don't want more than 10 to 20% of our population to be, dependent on farming. So what will happen when substantially the cost will, decrease, the dependence on land will decrease, and the yield, because when it is mechanized farming, if you look at US and Canada, the yield for hectare is much higher. As I told you, the yield for hectare has not increased substantially because still a lot of things are still, manual. So when these things come, so then these people, yield per hectare will be substantially increased, and the people depending on farming will considerably reduce. Now, the important question which you will have in your mind, what are we going to do with the people? I hope no Neta is listening to me from the opposition. Otherwise, he will say, you have a master plan of making millions jobless and useless. No. Where is the focus? The focus is going to be on food export, food semi-processing, and processing industry. So from hardcore farming, we'll move the manpower to cold storages, food processing, semi-processing, and export of foods. Why export of foods? Today, you will be happy to know India is contributing 35% to the total food basket of the world. Today, it's a lot of raw food, a lot of kacha saman. With due course of time, it will be semi-processed, processed, and finished good, which will be exported to the whole world. So that is why world will need India. You have the oil, you control the governments. You have the food, you control the people, you control the sentiment. That is the bigger plan. That is what we are intending to do. And that is how we'll utilize these men productively and to make money for India and make their life prosper. And if you look at the white good index and if you look at the consumer goods index, see where the sales is happening. That will validate my hypothesis. Please, sir, you were saying something.
Thank you so much. And viewers, it's important to understand that producing rice and wheat is not enough. That is the lowest part, and that's not where the malai, that is the big chunk of profit is. The profit is as you go up that food chain. It's literally a food chain. What is that? Semi-processing. If you sell semi-processed goods, you get a little bit more profit. If you have full processed foods, and then you have full products. Like, for example, now you have Mr. Sanjeev Kapoor, I don't remember his name. Sanjeev Kapoor. He has got his own brand. He puts his face and then he's exporting the product. What is the difference between the farmer's wheat and his wheat? Well, he processes it. He tests. He makes sure that the quality is passed. No, breakages, no pests or nothing in there. That is the difference. And nicely packaged and 20, 30, 40% markup. And then he's now suddenly an exporter. Imagine if each Kisan can do that. That is the point.
I mean, that was the idea
Go
of the
ahead,
three
sir. Yeah.
formulas. That was
Yeah.
the idea of the three formulas, which political reasons had to be pulled back. And let me tell you one more success story. I'll take 30 seconds. Patanjali Baba Ramdev. You all know. Sri Ravi Shankar, Art of Living. Rest you all know. Right? These are the people who have taken the Indian products, who have really done the value addition and made them global. I mean, salute to these two gentlemen and even Sadhguru. I mean, he has done a fantastic work for India. So, Sri Ravi Shankar ji, Sadhguru ji, Baba Ramdev, these are the examples how, Patanjali is a very, very powerful brand today. Today, Haldiram is, I believe, into 120 countries, if I'm not wrong. So,
Yeah.
people like Haldiram, 120 countries. I mean, that gives me pride. That is what is the power of fully processed food products. Haldiram is a food product. It's not a processed food. It's a food product. Log khana khao, into your mouth. So that is the power. That is the roadmap, and that is how people will love, respect India and initiate. And who is the person who is doing it? I want to see. Is unka ek photo dikha dijiye. There's an architect behind this. Sachin bhai, if you can show the picture. I think you'll know this gentleman. I've sent you one of the pictures, Sachin. I think you might recognize the person. It was his vision to do all this. Let me show. We can get Sachin bhai to do it. So, I mean,
Let's. Yeah.
not a problem. So we'll move it on later. So we'll keep you guessing. We'll keep you guessing. Keep on thinking who's the
Yeah.
architect. Oh, Sachin bhai. Sachin bhai has broken the suspense. No.
So
Picture one.
no. I know. That's not what. Yeah. This is
Yeah,
the person.
this is the person. This person, this gentleman, the Prime Minister of India, Modi ji came with a vision of all this. And when he said कि किसान की income 22 तक दुगनी करनी, after 22, I'm going to make it dugni, it was not a jumla. I took 27 minutes to explain and break you through all this. I've exceeded my time. I have to go to the next section. So, okay, let me quickly move to the next section. The next section
Yeah.
is, when we talk of a robust economy, a resilient economy, what you need robust, production. Where do we stand in the production? Today, we are number 5. We are number 5. But in preference, we are number 1. What is between number 5th and number 1? By preference, we are number 1. But in production output, we are number 5. What is stopping us? Sri sir, what is stopping us is nothing but robust supply chains. Robust supply chains. Because if you don't have the robust supply chains, you can have the factories of the world. But what will they produce? Where will the supplies come from? If you have to again go to China, you cannot compete with China from buying raw material from China and telling you, Mr. China, I'm going to compete with you. And by the way, friends, tomorrow we are going to talk about. By the way, not this one, the another one. Another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one. So I'm going to explain you this picture. Now, we are not going to keep it like this. We are not going to go to China and say, look, Mr. China, we're going to buy material from you and then we are going to compete with you and we're going to beat the hell out of you. Well, that's not going to happen. But tomorrow, 10 o'clock, we are going to talk about Chinese failed banks. We are going to talk about Chinese dwindling economy. We are going to talk about bankruptcies. We are going to talk a lot about China. And by the grace of God, by the grace of Mahakal, all our predictions have come true. So do join us tomorrow. There'll be a lot on the China. Now, what happened? This whole story started in 2019. When the Prime Minister Modi realized, look, when he launched this Made in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Rahul Gandhi ji made all the fun about it. That's okay. He's usually like that. By share ke andar wo kuch gharariya ghum rahi and all that. But now he knows where do we stand today. At that time, we were not even top 10 in the industrial output. Then we have moved to number 5. Now, what is happening? Happening is that we are dependent on China for these raw materials. Why? China had taken a lot of resources around the world and had developed very cheap refining capabilities and due to economies of scale and subsidy of CCP, they were feeding the whole of the world with these raw materials. Now, if you don't have raw materials, if you don't have rare earths, and if you don't have energy, a lot of things around your industry will not work. It's as simple as that. If you talk of missile technology, if you talk of aeroplanes, if you talk of quantum computing, if you talk of semiconductors, if you talk of electronics, if you talk of a lot of modern equipments, you need all these metals which you see on my table here. You need all of them. Chahiye bhaiya, kuch hoga nahi iske bina. You won't be able to move a brick. Now, there was a time when we were importing happily everything from India. But in 2019, Modi ji came with Kabil. What is Kabil? Kabil is an initiative. It is Videsh India Limited. Kabil is Khanij Bidesh India Limited. Khanij is the mineral. B is Bidesh, not Videsh, Bidesh. I for India, L for India, Kabil. Or you may say in hand India, Kabil. इंडिया को काबिल बनाने के लिए इनिशिएटिव लाएगा काबिल. इंडिया को काबिल बनाने के लिए इनिशिएटिव लाएगा काबिल. To make India Kabil, you started an initiative Kabil. What was the initiative done? It was under the Ministry of Mines and all. And their job was, under a special purpose vehicle, a company was made, Kabil. So this Kabil had the mandate to go and acquire all the assets in the world. All the assets in the world where we could get rare earths, where could we get rare earths, and eventually develop the refining capacity into India so that we have to reduce our dependence from China. See the vision how Prime Minister Modi saved us. In 2020, if we did not have Kabil, we were getting more than 90% of the raw materials like the world is getting from China. And that is why China thought it can salami slice again and India will keep quiet. India will not be able to do anything because you need us for everything. You need us for APIs, you need medical APIs are the raw materials you use in medicines, and you need us for rare earths. Bhaiya, tumhari to hawa tight hai. There's nothing you can do. That was the China's game plan. And I'm very sure, Sri sir, a lot of Chinese dalals are listening to this. And by the way, I just want to add one spice to the talk. After we have started exposing China, Sri sir, what China has done? China has decided not to publish any unemployment numbers. Our programs and impacts are so hard hitting. It is official. CCP and its chamchas, not chamchas do only the propaganda. CCP has decided not to publish any numbers of Chinese unemployment. It is official, sir. So somewhere down the line, we are doing some job and it is reaching the people who matter. And the interpreters in this Chinese embassies and all that are doing a good job. Thank you, Mr. Interpreter. I love you for this. And so now let us come here. Now with this 92% of the things, what have we done? If you look at lithium, now what has India done? This Keppel went on a rampage acquiring assets right, left and center. Now, if you look in India, if you look at the major metals, including diamond, gold and all, we have around the mines which we hold broadly, bigger mines, are 100 to 120 number, which are owned by government and private entities as well, right? So what was the job of Kabil? To go and acquire these assets across the world. Now, if you look at lithium, you will see a Chile, Russia, China, Ireland and Belgium. Earlier, it was only China. Chile, Russia, Ireland and Belgium are the new additions and it is as per the Ministry of Mines, this is where I have taken the data from. This is their official website. So this is where we have diversified our risk. China, if you look at, let's say, cobalt, China, Belgium, Netherlands, US, Japan. So if you take, let's say, manganese, manganese? We are talking of South Africa, we are talking of Gabon, we are talking of Australia, Brazil, China. If you take off this, let's say for titanium, we are talking of Australia, Indonesia, South Africa, Malaysia, US. You will even see Kuwait, you will see China, you will see everywhere. So a lot of, this dependence has been reduced. What is the dependence we have reduced over China? Sir, from 2019 to 23, the analysis what I have done is more than 60%. More than 60%. So the risk is divided. China cannot hold us by the neck, gone are those days. And in due course of time, we are, Australia, 3 lithium mines plus 2 gold mines to India meant for China. Absolutely right, Kesarji, bang on. I was going to talk about it. You stole the thunder of my argument, but good, brother, very good. I'm happy people are, responding. So this is what is happening. Now, if you see here, UK, Netherlands, I saw somewhere even Estonia, Slovenia, I have some United States, somewhere if I've even seen a lot of some Middle Eastern countries as well. So this is how the risk is diversified and there is not a hue and cry about it. And not only that, remember friends, 2 lithium deposits, one in J&K, one in Ladakh, one in Rajasthan. Another big uranium in Sikar, Rajasthan. That is not included here. And let me remind you, I want to do a separate program on this, but I'll just touch it briefly. Let me remind you, friends, we have only explored 8 to 10% of the India's land for these resources. You remember in Andhra, we have found almost 14 rare earths. Congratulations to people of Andhra Pradesh and congratulations to the people who have found it. Now, suddenly we have activated the finding mechanisms. We have got the technology, we have got those radars. We have discovered big time gold mines in Orissa. We have discovered, you will very soon come to know, it will be officially announced, we have discovered 2 to 3 major oil wells in Andaman Nicobar Islands. We have discovered 1 major oil well near Mumbai High. And in Kaveri Basin, we have found more gas. So I'm going to talk about that. So 14 rare earths have been done. And incidentally, where is this area? This area is exactly this goddamn area is exactly which is Nexel infested. Yes, Batraji, gold in Odisha, I've already spoken. Thank you, sir. Thanks. My brothers and sisters are catching up. I mean, good. We together we can do it. Awesome. Now, this area where these resources are, this is exactly where Naxalite insurgency is. And who is funding Naxalites? People's Republic of China. Now you see what is the relation between the communists, Naxals, China, and the white gold. I called up the white gold of today's time. They're all white golds. And this is the white gold. Gold is not yellow; it has a white color also. I call them all white gold. This is why China has been funding Naxalites. This is why these tribals have been radicalized. This is why these things are on a rampage. This is why we were led to do no development in these areas. This is why our commandos are targeted. There's so much of life and blood we have lost, doing all this. I mean, I salute those brave sons of India. They have laid down their life doing this. And this is how Kabul is changing the game. So we are exploring within India. We're going out of India. We're getting the refining here. I had predicted that Panasonic will be interested to do refining in India, and Panasonic has already expressed interest to do lithium refining in India because they are the best here. So this all is happening, and these are silent things which you don't know. Unfortunately, our TV news is full of only, sand and sand ka kand, what can get the highest TRP today. But these are the things which are real achievements of the India's economy. Now, very soon, what is the long-term vision? Long-term mission is we have to relieve world from communist dominance of rare earths and critical resources of the world. Communist dominance, Chinese dominance is dangerous for the world. We are helping relieve world and humanity from this. This is the long-term mission. Now, I think I have a few minutes left, 5-7 minutes more. Let me let you take to the next part, the last part. I don't think I can go to the last one. I'll try. I wanted to even do financial markets, but I thought that's a different subject. So next Saturday we'll talk about the financial markets. Now, this is something very interesting here. You will say, भैया ये क्या लिखा है? What is the ये चिड़िया क्या हमारी हिंदी में लिखते हैं? ये Brazil, what have you written? This kitchen mocher. What is this about? Now, if you know, there was a time we were only dependent on Middle East for oil. Then we went to Russians for oil. Now, what we are doing, we are in mass buying oil and gas blocks. We are not buying crude now. Sorry, that is not the strategy. We are buying these oil and gas blocks en masse. Okay, Brazil. I've given you, this is from the ONGC, the website. Which are the blocks which are bought? Colombia, Cuba, Venezuela, Vietnam, Myanmar, Russia. Russia is mainland Russia and Arctic also. Now we are talking of Kazakhstan. We are talking of Libya. We are talking of Nigeria. We are talking of Sudan. We are talking of Mozambique. We are talking of Indonesia. We are talking of Indonesia. We are talking of Thailand. We are talking of Myanmar. We are talking of Kazakhstan. We are talking of Mongolia. So India is not only building geographical redundance, but also geopolitical redundance vis-a-vis oil and gas. And in some years of time, and with our explorations, I have told you, Andaman Nicobar, 2 big wells. And now we have also all told you that in Mumbai, we have found a well. We'll be soon talking to you about what the details, what is the quantum of crude, and how many years will last. Soon, India will not be dependent. India might become an exporter of all this. And gone are those days when we were totally dependent on Qatari gas. Still we are, but in due course of time, by next year, these oil blocks will start sending in the, produce to us. And then by another 3 to 4 to 5 years, everything will be gone. That is why Modi ji said, this election next 5 years will lay the foundation for next 1,000 years to come. I am trying to contemplate and quantify this for you in bits and bytes, how that is going to happen. So if you think Indian government is doing nothing, we are dependent on Qatari gas and oil, we are buying this. No, there's a lot of things done. Now here we are buying the source. We are not buying the crude. We are not buying semi. We are buying the source and having it done. And let me tell you, the most of the refining, all 90% or more of the refining is done in India. That as a strategy, we are not refining out of India. And I'm very happy with that strategy because I have looked at the numbers and I don't have the time to explain the numbers, but trust me, the numbers are mind-boggling. Refining there and refining here, the game is different. And with de-dollarization happening, these changes are going to permanently impact a lot of lives of India and people living of India permanently. This is what is happening here. So I've given you the names of blocks. There's a lot of information. I have more, but it is not in the open media, so I'm not going to give it right now. I have verbally spoken about it. Some I have spoken, some I have not spoken because there's national interest involved. I cannot speak much. So this is something which is happening there. You can see how we are building our oil and gas resilience. And today, remember Ladakh hydrogen fuel powered bus is a reality. We are running it. Ethanol blending 20% we have achieved. And this is what we are doing at a world level to reduce our geopolitical dependence on anything. And we will be the first ones to come with an ethanol based engine, 100% ethanol fuel driven engine. I was reading somewhere the cost might be 50 to 70 liters, and your car will do around 350 to 400 kilometers per liter. Per liter. And imagine, imagine. I know I'm giving you a lot of information, but it's all here. I don't want to miss a piece of it. But imagine when this happens, how much will the geopolitics of the world change? Which are the people who are going to suffer the most, and how, and when? When Nitin Gadkari ji told after 7 years we might not need petrol and diesel, people did not understand him what he meant. But when you go deep into what he meant and do analysis, you'll exactly understand what he meant and what did he not mean. So this is what is happening. So the message was sent to some people, bhaiya, awqat mein raho. We don't need you for too long, and we know what we are doing and how we are going to do it. This is the roadmap. Now, I have 5 minutes left at max, so I wanted to take you to one interesting part. The first thing you will tell me, Are Sumit ji, what is this here? This is put some nuclear reactor and all. What are you going to teach us on the nuclear thermodynamics? No. It is a very simple thing. I have to give credit to one lady here called Jai Lalita ji. You must have all heard about Ram Setu. Ram Setu. This has to do with energy because that's why I brought it up. It's not a political subject. Ram Setu. Now, DMK government thought we'll break up the Ram Setu and make canal out of it. Make the canal out of it. So if you make the canal out of it, it will become when you break it wherever, it will become the property of Sri Lanka. Today, there's only around 30 feet or more, which is with Sri Lanka's control. Rest is with us. What is it with Ram Setu? What do we have in Kerala? Ram Setu and Kerala has the biggest deposits of thorium in the world. Now, if you make it a monument or a national heritage thing, there is no way you can extradite thorium out of that, right? You cannot. So the whole canard about making it a national monument and all is about thorium. You don't want India to have access to the thorium. Now today, energy, nuclear suppliers group is giving us nightmares and a lot of things. Now, what is this thorium all about? We have the highest thorium reserves in the world. Why do we need thorium? What are we going to do with thorium? What is the roadmap? Where does this all come from? And why has a lot of politics involved around the Ram Setu? National monument, break it up. I mean, credit to Jai Lalita ji who kind of stopped that. And what is it? I'll try to make it first example. If you see the first thing here, step one. Step one says heavy water reactor, filled by natural uranium, produce plutonium. So this is how the traditional reactors work. And how much are they producing? They are producing, let's say, around 10 gigawatts at the factor of 0.8, and it will last for 40 years, right? This is one model. This is a traditionally used nuclear reactor model. We are not making it more technical. We are trying to simplify. You remember a gentleman called Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba, who was killed by CIA, which is now open. What did he do? He gave us this. It is his gift to us. He is not only the father of the atom bomb or the nuclear bomb or the nuclear technology, he also gave us this. I'm going to explain in 2 minutes what does this mean broadly. Credit to that man. That is why I say Parsi community are jewels in India's crown. They are the people who are love, who have done a lot of work for India. I have greatest of respect for them. And still I want to meet Ratan Tata ji if he gives me an appointment. Now, what is the step 2? Step 2 is where Dr. Baba conceptualized the concept. You see, fueled by, Sachinji, can we make it a little bit bigger? I don't know, can we? Fueled by polonium and natural uranium, fueled by polonium and natural uranium with sufficient stocks of thorium into it. Here, it is polonium and uranium and some thorium into it. What is the yield here? The yield here is 500 gigawatts. Here, it was 10 gigawatts in the first case. 500 gigawatts, 100 years. Factor is 0.8% only. Now come to stage 3. Stage 3. Thoda niche aaiye Sachin ji. Stage 3. What I want to understand, look at this stage 3. Mix of thorium and uranium fuel reactors. Thorium translates to uranium-233, which powers the reactor. 500 gigawatts of power, 350 years at 0.8 factor. This is the power of thorium reactor. I think we have already one thorium reactor up in India. 10 more are in making. And if I refer to the book of APJ Abul Kalam, he had written that with thorium we can get our power needs with the increasing population all for next 250 to 300 years. Now you understand thorium, you understand thorium reactors, you understand Homi Jahangir Baba, you understand why was he assassinated, you understand Ram Setu, what did Jayalalitha ji do, what is the national monument business about, why to break the Ram Setu, because then we will not have access to thorium, it will become the property, it will become then when you break it up. So this is what the whole cabal wants. And with thorium reactors and the technology which we have the mastery of that. We can have our nuclear power for around 250 to 300 years. And we don't need any nuclear suppliers. कोई nuclear supplier group की जरूरत नहीं है. We don't need anything. With thorium, we can power whatever we want. And let me tell you last. India is in the top 5 countries to do deep sea, mineral taking out or deep sea explorations. Only in the top 5 countries in the world. We started long back. Now, you know how much is the mineral wealth of Indian Ocean? Why everybody is suddenly interested in Indian Ocean? As per some estimates, 10 to 15 trillion dollars. 10 to 15 trillion dollars. And how much is our economic zone is huge. We have taken few more, I don't know how many, 100 square kilometers from UN, for our economic activity and all. So Indian Ocean is where the wealth is. Indian Ocean is where the conflicts are going to be. It's not South China Sea. When people tell me South China Sea and deep state, I laugh at them. I say, you don't seem to know it. And this was given by Homi Jahangir Baba long back. And this was validated by the missile man of India, APJ Abul Kalam, some long back. You can see the reference in his book. There's a lot of content around this. I just wanted to bring one picture. I sent it in the last so that you could get the context. What is the thorium business? Now, thorium is more powerful and more sustainable and more viable than uranium. The question which will be in your minds, can we use thorium to make a bomb as we can power the reactor? Conceptually, yes. Practically, I'm not a nuclear scientist, but I think Dr. Baba has left some clues and our scientists have done a commendable job. And with our thorium and the uranium we have in country, imagine the stage 2 and stage 3, what we saw in this chart. What not can we do? With that, I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sumitji. Certainly, excellent compilation of very useful data that tells you the potential of the country, especially since the world is going through a de-dollarization phase where they are tired of paper currency. They want some muscle behind the currency, and that's where all these things come into picture. And plus the fact that India is able to do rupee-based trading with many countries now, 30 and growing, would make it easier for the exporters also, because right now the exporters are still looking at the rupee to dollar exchange rate. But if you can get rupees as is from, like, say, UAE, then you don't have to worry about what the US dollar to rupee exchange rate is. That just thrown out of the window. Now you understand why US is constantly doing something or the other. The 3 or 4 different departments who are all talking nonsense from there. I'm a US citizen, but I see that these things are not right, and I make my point known. So this is important. We need to understand where things are, but there's still miles to go before we sleep. Lots of work that needs to be done, a lot of execution. But beware of all those elements who try to stop these things. Those are the ones that common people have to start taking them on the streets and say, by closing down a Gudangulam reactor, by closing down the sterilite steel plant, thousands of jobs are being lost. That needs to be, turned around. And environment issues were not there. They just made it up. They just wanted to stop it. Conversion is rich when people don't have jobs, because then they can't earn. Therefore, you say, okay, every month I'll give you 5,000 rupees per family member. You just convert to Christianity. This is how they are doing it. Turn this thing around, and you've got yourself a fantastic future ahead of you. Thank you so much. Let's take some questions now, please. Thank you, Manikanta. What do you think of blockchain technology and Web3? I'm not referring to speculation of prices. The technology and remote work culture both benefit Indian workplace.
I think, Sri sir, you can answer this better.
See, blockchain gives you incontrovertible ownership, and any change you take on any process, that will be recorded. You cannot change that recording. So what happens is, anytime there is corruption, marking up of prices, you'll immediately know where that happened. That's why blockchain is useful. In finance industry, for example, if somebody's getting money in the name of software exports, but actually they're going to use it for conversion, these things can be easily tracked using blockchain. Who is the original person? Who is the leaves where all this thing is getting distributed? All that can be caught. In real estate, also blockchain can be very useful. These days, suddenly what wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and says that all this is all mine, and just tries to make up the thing. All those things will go away. We promised you one about geospatial mapping. Whenever Sumiji is ready, we will give you that
Yeah,
information also. So
it
blockchain,
just slips my
yeah,
mind because so many issues are happening every day. We'll do
right,
it.
right, right. So so blockchain is a must-have. It's not a nice to have. Let's wait and see how quickly India gets on to that technology. Next one, please. Kushanand Keshav wants to know, Namaskar to both of you from Bay Area. Sumit sir, the economy is booming. Why are the inflation levels going up and commodities getting costly? Some in BJP are saying it is hyped. Your views?
Sir, the inflation I think is around 4.33% when I last saw it, and inflation are around 3 to 5% is considered as a healthy inflation. If you don't have that inflation, a lot of business becomes unviable because your incentive to growth, your additional costs, your expansion, your interest or capital, your all is kind of budgeted in this rise in this healthy inflation only. Yes, there was inflation in rice. There was inflation in one or two food items. That is why you're seeing those exports have been stopped immediately. When it was flagged, the exports got stopped immediately because of these things. That is where these things come into play.
Next question, please. Atul Kumar Srivastava wants to know, Satish Chandra Mishra has said from September many things related to Gandhi family will come to fore. What is your take?
We hope and pray that comes. What can I say?
It's all about timing. That's it.
Yes,
Next
sir.
one, please. Pawan Kishore.
I can't see it.
I think he has lost power, so I'm going to go on. Thank you, Pawan Kishore. Hold on. Don't do anything, please. Yeah, Pawan Kishore, thank you so much. Economical growth is not much translated into job growth yet. What is the government plan to get the job growth at par with economical growth?
Okay, Pawanji, this is a nice question you asked. What is a job? Job is if you go for the economy or economics is an opportunity to earn. हम कहते हैं उसे हिंदी में रोजगार के अवसर. So job is not a job in a typical employment and hiring and all that. Like if you look at US, Srisha will validate this. 60% of the US economy is run by MSMEs. You don't think Microsofts and Lockheed Martins of the world control US economy. It's the MSMEs which control. And these corporates are just 10 to 12%. Then it is the, I think, then it's the automobiles which control around 10 to 20%. Between these two sectors, the chunk of the industry of the US economy runs. So the opportunity to earn when you are doing mudra loans, when you are doing, when you are doing these loans, when you are doing construction projects, when you are giving the infrastructure, this all creates opportunity. This all creates this opportunity to earn. The common notion of a job is a employment letter with a PF number, ESI number, and your bonus and gratuity. That is only some part of the job. But by all means, job is an opportunity to earn. If you go by that logic, Sri sir and me are also jobless. So we don't have an appointment letter and a PF and ESI number. So we're both jobless that way. So you do not consider it as it's only ki nokri. Nokri aap literal meaning na liya. Don't take the literal meaning. As long as you're creating opportunities to earn. In India, one SME gives job to around 2 people. So more and more SMEs, more and more loans, and thousands of things come up. They create jobs. That is what a job is, not a typical, stereotype nokri. So there's a change in the thought process which we have to inculcate. So next one.
Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaskar ji, Modi government has done a lot of good work, sure, but there is so much more to be done. Why are they shy of publicizing the good work? Their work on winning perception battle isn't good.
I think, Ranga sir, there is a bit of a lacuna here. A lot of things are not being kind of publicized in the manner. Unfortunately, you see, if you have a medium like YouTube, and if you give a person like me 15 minutes, I can explain you 1 or 1.5, 2 things, right? But in a typical TV debate or a TV broadcast, you hardly get this time. The media doesn't have that liberty, and the audience doesn't want that. Audience wants, how can I dominate the other person? That is what the TV debates have been today. I do a lot of them, but that's how it is all about. And most of the time, you might end up shouting and yelling at somebody. I'm sorry, but that is how it works. But here, the media gives us the opportunity. It is basically, we have more than 800 million YouTube downloads in YouTube users in India. That means 80 crore log. 80 crore log. Slowly, the media patterns are changing. It is going more digital. And let me tell you, 10 years down the line, you will have digital media powerful than the mainstream media. And mainstream media is already known and has known this and is aware of this. Yes, Ranga sir, you had an interest, you watch this program. I don't know how many hundred or thousand people are watching this. But if you don't have an interest in the economy, right, if you're interested in, I saw one news today. The news which was running in one of the leading news portals of India said Dharmendra is not happy with what Bollywood gave to me when I was family. I'm very sure if some celebrity puts a picture of eating a noodle, you will have millions of likes and retweets, and these likes. Is ultimately what do people want? What it is rightly said. You get the government which what you select or elect. You get the content what you want. Ranga sir, you are here. That is why we are having this discussion. If you choose not to be here, you will not have this discussion. Running it and at a time where we are competing with mainstream media is not easy. But we are sure about our content. We know our audiences what they want, so we give them what they want, and they love us for that. And it's national service. Next one.
Abhijit J wants to know, Sumitji, can you also share something about forest farming happening in India? This is Manipur.
Yeah. It's a new topic altogether, but what we are doing is, in some forest lands and all, we have identified the areas where we can grow some herbs, shrubs, and some spices, and some, crops which are not meant for India, or some, botanical plants which are not meant for India. The lands have been earmarked, and these kisans are given these lands on patta. Patta means on, temporary basis, and they go and preserve the ecosystem. Make sure there is no poaching happening. Make sure the forest lands are not kind of, end up becoming heavens for these drug lords, drug peddlers and all, and on social elements. Slowly, these lands are getting cultivation, and cultivation we're producing this. But it's a big topic. But this is what the gist of it is. We can talk about it sometime, but it will take a bit of time.
Thank you, Atul Kumar Srivastav. Thank you again. And last question, Narayan wants to know, beach sand from South India was exported for decades to China. Has it stopped?
I think it has stopped, Narayanji. I told you, South Indian beaches, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, especially have a lot of thorium in it. It was all about thorium. It is about thorium. It will be about thorium. People are not bothered about history or non-history or religious. It is about thorium. I think that has been already stopped. If you want to send sand to them, send from West Bengal. Na? There is no thorium there. Give them all the sand they want. Ganga has a lot of sand. Give them sand and get money
I
from
have
them.
one clarification. I have one clarification about Ram Setu. See, when you declare something as a national monument, and this is my understanding, it is like, I think, 2 kilometers around that area that is not mineable, that you can't do mining. What he mentioned about breaking the sand reef is correct, because what happens is the sea is very shallow there. And even if you break it, the sand again comes and fills it up. Next day you have to dredge it. Next day you have to dredge it. And in this process, you lose a lot of effort and time. So stopping the Setu Samudram project was the good thing. And preserving the monument, it's only going to be that strip that you cannot mine thorium. The rest of the coast of Tamil Nadu and Kerala is still available for thorium mining. The key here is to maintain the ecological balance. When you take out something, when you take out something, then you have to have a way to replenish that. Like, for example, from river beds, we take out sand that can be used to build buildings. That's sand and cement is what forms the brick and mortar, they call it. So you have to figure out a way to make sure that the river still can flow the way it used to flow, and that it has something to hold on to. So you see the amount of space that's there, coastline that is there, all that is rich in thorium. Only the small sliver that connects as a Ram Setu will be not available for thorium mining, which I think is a good trade-off. At the same time, let's accept that the DMK wanted to break it because they wanted to break that astha. that they wanted to. These guys are nutcases. I'm telling you. There's no other way to name them, and they have just ruined the state. I don't know how many years it will take, assuming BJP comes to power, to just bring it back to the way things were in the 1950s and 60s. Let's go to the. I think this is all we have for today. Thank you so much, Sumitji. And do you have a small message to give? Hello, hello.
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Yeah, we're waiting for.
Okay, that poster to come up. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, friends, first of all, thank you for all the support. Now, I'm happy to inform you we have cleared almost all the backlog of mails, maybe some 10, 20 are left. This is about these live one-to-one sessions, which I give on, if you have issues vis-a-vis life, finances, job, career counseling, how can I help to build India, and, other aspects of life. So I do that. So you have to write to this email ID, sumitpeerofficial@gmail.com. My team will be in touch with you, and from there on, we'll take it on. It's online, so anywhere, you can be anywhere in the world, any walk of life of the world, young, old, NRIs, whoever. So we can help you in that, and we can help to do our best to help you in that. And this is how we reach. It is done by me only, and it is done over a video conference. So that is how we run it. So anybody interested, please feel free to write us. Now all my backlog is clear.
Thank you so much, sir. And these are the handles, Twitter handles. Do follow us. Mine is Sriayer1, P Gurus 1 is the company handle, and SumitP191 is Sumitji's handle. Thank you so much, Sumitji. And we'll see you again tomorrow for Hindi on China.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you very much.